death for life. My husband, in response to my pleas, was silent, never came to take me back. At one of the parties, I met Master and Miss Ellie. Something told me, I can save myself. I just needed courage and opportunity. My master, his head was hot with the other guests and I had a kind of freedom. My eyes fell on the tray of drinks. I went to my master to try. He looked at me and shook his head in denial. Suddenly a female voice said, "Bring me a drink." I looked at my master. He smiled when he saw the person who called me, and nodded his head respectfully. He motioned for me to carry out his order. I went to him happily. The girl, she seemed very young. I held out the tray to her and said, "Here you go." She looked at me and took one of them and drank a little. His face was contorted. I didn't know what happened. He looked at the drink and me, put the glass back on the tray. I asked anxiously, "What happened?" He looked at me seriously and dryly. A man came to him and said, "Come drink this." Then he turned to me and said, "Take it." When he saw my hesitation, he said, "What? Why are you so dry? Go." I didn't know the relationship between the man and the young girl, but they didn't eat between master and slave. I gathered my courage and said quietly, "Sir, help me, please." They both looked at each other and then at me. The man said, "What do you want? We don't have much time, we have to join the others." I said, "My name is Nast. I am a slave. My husband lost me to my master in a gamble, but I don't like being a slave. And whoever wants to touch me, that means I have a husband, even though he sold me cruelly." The girl looked at me and said, "Well, he will pay his debt. He will return to you, then you will no longer be a slave." I said quickly, "No." He did not come again. My master said that I should forget him. Save me. The girl said in a nervous tone, "How can we save you? You say you do not want a master and your husband does not look for you. We must pay your husband, even pay an extra amount to buy you. Why should we do this? What is the point? My father and I have a lot of slaves and servants. Go." And I did not call your master. I could not believe it. I was defeated by the girl's attitude and her father's silence. They wanted to leave, but I said with a begging attitude and while I wanted to cry, "I will do anything for you. Lady, I will be your slave. Have mercy on me." The girl looked at her father and said, "We will think about it. We will talk to your master at the end of the party. Maybe we bought you." I smiled bitterly and said, "Thank you, master." I left them. My master looked at me sideways, but because of the party, he didn't react. I never understood what they said to my master. When he took the money, he put his hand on my arm and said, "You're lucky. I don't know how they knew you and paid twice your husband's debt. Anyway, it belongs to them. Go with them, be careful. That man is the leader of a gang. If you rebel, you have to say goodbye to life." I was both happy and scared by his words, now that I've been here for a few years. I decided to leave that man forever and erase his name from my life. I left him with the support of my master. The others are also like me in a way. They were either bought from traffickers and street gangs or they themselves, in order to get rid of prostitution on the street and instead of going to houses. To have a permanent and safe place and get rid of this problem, they sold themselves to the master. The clubs and their treatment of slaves and the relationship they had with human traffickers caused this to happen to many women. Becky said, "So you don't do prostitution here?" Elena laughed and said, "No. Instead, we have private dances. The customer, whether male or female, can only watch our dance and our bodies from behind a glass and in a place away from the others. But he can't touch us or ask us to sleep with him here or anywhere else." Becky smiled and said, "Amazing. Derek and Mary were getting ready to attack and massacre the opponents. The first step was to send Noah's Ark. That people had to get on them to save themselves. With the help of local forces, they determined the best spots for the ships to stop.